Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Monster Hunter collab and which female and male hunter you should be pursuing in this day and age. So, a little apologies, this video is a little late-ish to be released, but I did have my birthday yesterday and all the jazz and whatnot beforehand, and I do turn 28 if anyone was wondering or trying to guess. So, with the return of the Monster Hunter collab, we now have 5 distinct evolutions for both the male and female hunters. So there's a total of 10 different options. However, some are obviously stronger than others, and this article/video will hopefully guide you towards the best choice for your given monster box. So where do we get these hunters? So if you are fortunate enough to have been playing Pad for quite a long time and were around for the first inception of Monster Hunter collab, you will have acquired a female and male hunter potentially beforehand, but rest assured you still can acquire another one if you follow the same hurdles that you had to beforehand. So to anyone who's playing right now, if you log in at any time during the event, which is probably very likely, you will get a male hunter for free. If you beat the team of 4 or less challenge for one of the Monster Hunter dungeons, you will acquire the female hunter for free. So new players will have 1 of each, older players will have 2 of each. However, additional hunters can be purchased for 200,000 monster points each, but that may or may not be valuable given how situational some of their uses are. So another thing to keep in mind is that all the evolutions are reversible. So say you make one of the hunters and you find out that's not really what you were hoping for, you are able to actually reverse the evolution and make another one. So this can be important because let's say you played the Monster Hunter dungeon a lot for skill ups, let's say, and you made one of the evolutions and then like say 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, you didn't like it so much. You'd be able to reverse it and hopefully you kept the parts for the other evolution. So this can potentially save you 200,000 monster points if you know you're gonna kind of outgrow one of the hunters in the future. In addition to all of that, all of the hunters' active skills are assistable. So that means you can use them as a skill inherit across various teams if you don't actually like their colors or their awakenings for a specific team you want to use. So just keep in mind that maybe you may not use one of the hunters as say a leader or a sub, maybe maybe their active skill is valuable to yourself. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So first things first, the male hunter. So male hunter, you might as well call it blue hunter because the male blue hunter is the strongest one 900 or 99 out of 100 times, maybe even higher, maybe 101 out of 100 times. Like if it's your first hunter, you should make it a blue hunter. And I don't really care if you never play co-op, if you don't like combo leads, because you will at some point in your life, and you will have to play those at some point. And when you do, you'll have access to one of the strongest leaders currently available because he has great damage output, he has wonderful durability, and he has an open sub pool. You can use any card you want as a sub. There's no type or color restriction, and all his playstyle is just combo. You don't have to worry about messy boards being heavily skewed to certain elements. You can just match whatever you can, and if you hit 7 or more combos, you tend to do enough damage to sweep a lot of floors, especially if you have 7 combo awakening subs. So this is why I would strongly suggest you make the blue hunter if it's your first male hunter. Partially why the feature image is kind of blue hunter and all the little ones kind of flashing out after him, like, because he is the most important and the most kind of game changing of all the hunters currently available. Now, if you've made blue hunter and you have another one to spare, then we can look at other options. But again, if you only have one male hunter, make it blue. So, Rathalos, or the red male hunter, has an interesting active skill because you get 35% damage reduction as well as being able to change the second from the bottom row into fire orbs. So being able to form a row is meaningful on speed farming teams that actually trigger high enough damage with 6 connected fire orbs, so it can be useful there. However, you can use this active skill in conjunction with, say, a full board changer on other color teams. So say, for example, you have a Zeus Dios and you're using Lube. You pop Zeus Dios, but you have to overcome this like 3 combo shield, like something small, let's say, of course. You can pop Rathalos and you'll have a row of fire at the second from the bottom. You just move 3 of those up a little bit and then you have 1 big blob combo, 1 red combo, 1 red combo, another green row combo. So you actually probably even increase your damage output because you actually form 2 unique rows, so triggering all those row awakenings, as well as 4 combos instead of just 1 blob prey for Skyfalls. So it has some value there, but it may be mostly used for fire farming. Now, if you have been lacking, say, Tsubaki, you may be tempted to utilize them as a Dragon Killer sub because all the hunters do have Dragon Killers, but it all depends on the colors and the types of teams and whether or not you can really use, say, Tsubakis or Kiris more efficiently. So it can work out, but it's not necessarily the best option for dragon killing. Like, maybe with the rare machine renewal, like Tsubaki may be very hard to roll because the rolling rates have been actually probably like the lowest of any card in the game, so we shall see. The green male hunter didn't really make much of an impression the first time around, and this is because its active skill is a little awkward. It is similar to a gemstone princess in that it scales off of the number of specific awakenings on your team, and in the case of the green male hunter, it is dragon killer awakenings. So obviously he has one dragon killer awakening, but you need to actually start hitting quite a large number to actually have a meaningful burst, because if you have, say, 4 dragon killers total across your team, you will only have 3 times damage. And that's not that much in this day and age. Like, a lot of bursts are getting close to 3 times, and this is not necessarily very special or noteworthy, so to speak. When you hit 6+, then it becomes more meaningful because then you have 4 times damage, and that's quite a hefty amount. But that even may be challenging to build a team with 6 Dragon Killer Awakenings, even with the access of Kiri. You don't really need to have that many across your team. It's just going to be kind of redundant at that point in time. So I feel it's quite challenging to actually utilize their active skill in a meaningful way for burst damage. Now, this is a new male hunter. It's the Brachy X Gear, and they do have 3 TPAs and the Co-op Boost Awakening, which is, again, common for all hunters. But the thing is, with TPAs, it's not that desirable of awakening anymore. And that is because 7 combo awakenings have kind of dominated the meta, so to speak. And that is because 7 combo awakenings are easier to activate because you only need to make 7 combos. You don't have to worry about funny patterns, funny shapes, or even risking the chance of, say, you have, say, 6 yellow orbs making a 4 and then a 2 of nothing. It doesn't do anything. But you have to go for the 4 because you need the damage. So instead of going 3-3, which is good for all combo teams, it's problematic. So basically, TPA has less value because every single card on the team has to have TPA in that color that you're matching a TPA. Otherwise, everyone suffers because only that one card gets the benefit, no one else does, and everyone's a little sadder overall. So that's why 3 TPAs doesn't seem as exciting anymore at this point in time. Now, if we look beyond their awakenings, they do have the ability to deal 20 times attack damage to a single enemy, which is unfortunately reduced by their defense, and it heals for 50% of the damage dealt. So if it's high defense, you don't even heal at all whatsoever, you don't do any damage. And even if you are not high defense, what is it actually going to kill? It's going to kill nothing, and you get a small heal. So this is a very unreliable healing active skill, unfortunately. Like, if you have Amaterasu or Ceres, those are far more reliable sources of healing compared to the male Brachy X Gear Hunter. Like, it's just really awkward, unfortunately. And you do get a 35% damage reduction, but is 35% really going to help you out, so to speak? Like, you're basically using an active for a 35% shield. I would rather take even something like 50% like Susanoo or almost anyone else, really. Like, it's not really helping you accomplish that much overall. So I feel that it's not going to be very popular or well utilized, and they can do 81 times damage if every card in the team is a Monster Hunter card, but again, 81 times is still not even that much, and it's just a problematic evolution, unfortunately. But it looks cool. The final male hunter is, I can't pronounce their name, but they're also a new one, so the purple male hunter, I'll just say to make my life easier. And they do have an interesting active skill. They do 40 times of your entire team's wood and dark attack to all enemies. So this has, and also it changes the board to fire, water, wood, and dark orbs. Now, this has the potential to deal the most amount of damage as a button style active skill, but there are a lot of drawbacks by comparison. So right now, for the most part, many players are utilizing Grimjaw as their button damage inherit. They deal 250 times attack when you're at 1 health. So you stick this onto like a single or better yet, a double Co-op Boost Awakening card, get the massive attack value, and then that 250 times ends up dealing meaningful damage, so you can button through a lot of content very quickly. Now, this new male hunter has the potential to actually surpass Grimjaw without having the health clause, but the problem is your entire team needs to be comprised of strong wood and dark cards that ideally have the Co-op Boost Awakening. So if you do have the whole team of Co-op Boost Awakenings and they're all wood and dark with good stats, this will actually deal more damage, and you won't have the health clause, so to speak, so you're technically a little faster. You don't have to use a health reset like, say, regular Goemon to turn your health to 1. You can just button. So you technically could go a little bit faster, but again, that kind of team is very luxurious and challenging to actually make, so it's actually going to be relevant for the average player? Not really. As well as if you have a lot of Grimjaws, you probably have a good farming setup, so maybe the male hunter could possibly benefit, but then you may need multiple of them to have enough buttons to save you time for not having to reset your health to 1. Like, it's quite a large investment, and it's not going to necessarily help you out too much. And another big drawback of this male hunter is that their active skill actually has quite a much longer cooldown. It has a 20 turn cooldown versus, I think, 12 for Grimjaw. I didn't write it down here, but I think it's 12. But Grimjaw's significantly shorter by comparison. So that is one thing to keep in mind, because the skill boosts you have to keep track of, as well as the fact that the male hunter does technically mess up your board. Some people may not like that. Some people don't mind. You're using another board changer afterwards, but it can be something else to keep in the back of your head. So again, to summarize, it has the potential to deal more damage as a button, but that's very hard to actually build a team that can actually take advantage of that. So now we come to the female hunters, and unlike the male hunters, there is no giant clear winner at the moment. Like, yes, some are stronger than others, but it's not as dominating by comparison to blue hunter. So the first female hunter is Glavenus hunter, and this is going to be the most common one the vast majority of players do make. And this is because they have a powerful and interesting active skill, along with one of the more desirable leader skills for farming purposes. So the Glavenus hunter gives you 10% gravity and a 2-turn delay on an 11-turn cooldown. So this is actually quite good value. Like, it can help you stall out problematic mechanics if they can be delayed. The little baby gravity may have some applications if you need to use it for certain, say, cheesing strategies. Like, for instance, let's say there's a boss that you want to chunk down below a certain health threshold. You could do Glavenus hunter and then some of the true damages afterwards. It can make for interesting mechanics, but it's still quite a well-rounded active overall. But the main appeal is going to be their leader skill and the applications for fast and efficient farming. So they do provide 2.25 times health and 144 times attack for dragon and attacker types when matching 8 connected orbs. Now, even though there is this type restriction, they do still provide 64 times if you are not a dragon or attacker. And that is still meaningful amounts of damage, especially when you can fill the whole board with fire and you have obviously other dragon attackers mixed in there as well. So there is very strong potential for very fast and very efficient fire farming, because we do have access to cards that other colors don't really have. Most notably, say, Machine Goemon. Like, that's a very interesting and powerful card, or even just regular Goemon. Like, all the Goemons in general. Like, they offer interesting and powerful awakenings, but they have killers on Machine Goemon, and it's just, it can do things that, say, your Liu Bei and Zeus Dioses that may not be as efficiently set up to handle. So it can be meaningful, and again, it's going to be probably the most common choice for the average player, just because if you are past kind of the mid-game point, this is where like end game starts to really kick in, and it's about finding that fast and efficient farming strategy. Next is Kirin Exgear, and she is kind of like your grandmother's heirloom tea set. Kind of pretty to look at, but no real practical applications with other options being available. She's pretty and pretty useless kind of ish. Like, her active skill gives you +1 combo count for 3 turns, and you may think, cool, +1 combo. But the thing is, you don't really need +1 combo for 3 turns. If you are trying to look for a bonus combo count active skill, you tend to want to use something that gives +2, because you only need it for 1 floor. So this is providing less value overall for when you actually need it. Like, it's, I guess, like a little crutch if you want, going through certain content, but it's rare that you need it for multiple turns in a row. And if you are finding yourself needing it for multiple turns in a row, maybe you're playing the wrong type of team as well. So the active skill is a little awkward, and you can utilize a decent leader skill if you have cards only from the Monster Hunter collab, but again, that's like hard to do for the most part. You may not have enough cards to make a team that's worthwhile, and the multipliers aren't even that high, so no real purpose in making her, in my opinion. Narga Exgear is one of the older female hunters, and she's still quite powerful, but her applications are more skewed towards early game players. So her active skill allows you to do true damage as well as spawn dark orbs. So if you lack an inheritable true damage or laser, this is actually a decent option because it will open up certain opportunities for, say, button farming or playing through challenging content where you need to punch through pre-draws and you don't have guard break. So it can be meaningful for that purpose. However, they are a great introduction to 5 Orb 1 enhanced teams. So 5 Orb 1 enhanced teams do suffer from quite a few number of setbacks. Most notably, they're terrible in 3-player multiplayer because they won't have their enhanced orbs. They do have some consistency issues because they do need 5 of their particular color, as well as they can't have those orbs taken away and have no backup enhanced off color to change to the primary color. So ignoring all of those drawbacks, they're still incredibly powerful for especially early and some mid-game content, because in the case of the female hunter here, you get 2.25 times health and recovery, as well as 81 times attack in co-op when you match the 5 Orb 1 enhanced. So you've got a very durable team that has gentle team building requirements, and she has enough enhanced orb awakenings on her own to supply 100% enhancement when a dark orb falls down. So you've got all those points taken care of, and she can definitely clear content like Arena 1 quite easily. So for a lot of players who are newer and haven't necessarily acquired an amazing team, this could be a decent option. Blue Hunter is still the better leader overall, but if your comboing skills are not up to par for what Blue Hunter demands, and maybe your team building is not, like, team roster is not as ideal overall, Narga X-Gear may be a great option to utilize in the meantime. So basically, she is obviously very strong for those newer players, and you do kind of outgrow her as your monster box expands, you gain better leaders, and you start playing through harder content. But what I do want to stress is that all these evolutions are reversible. So let's say you only had one female hunter and you're kind of like in early / mid game. You can make the purple female hunter because none of the other ones would have any value for you, let's say hypothetically. And then when you start getting more towards end game content, you've got better leaders available. You may transition, like unevolve her and transition her into the Glavenus Hunter. That way you have that farming efficient rogue team without having to spend 200,000 monster points, because you will outgrow her. You can view her as a great set of training wheels, but you do unfortunately outgrow her over time. But I have her and she's still quite powerful and fun to use overall. So I can't pronounce names, but this is one of the new female hunters, blue-green. And she has an interesting active skill. You have 75% damage reduction for a single turn, which is nice, basically survive almost any hit, as well as dealing 100,000 true damage to a single enemy 3 times. So this amounts to 300,000 damage total, but it's allowing you to slip underneath resolve a little bit more easily. Because say you're fighting a spawn like Sopdet, she absorbs over 200,000 damage. And if you're doing 100,000 each time, each 100,000 is below the 200,000. So you still deal with 300,000 damage without having any of it be absorbed. Unfortunately, Sopdet has much more than 300,000 health, so this is not going to be a very practical way to actually deal with her. It's not going to really help solve the problem because, well, Sopdet's still alive. And using something like Fujin is far easier by comparison, so it can be a little awkward, but again, this can be an interesting active skill for certain situations where you need to punch through something with, say, high defense and high health at the same time. Something with, say, like millions of defense, but like, say, too much health that you couldn't use like a regular laser, like say Famul or Raw. This will deal more damage overall. So some applications at that point, but the shield can be meaningful at the same time. As a leader, they do have an interesting leader skill. They have the Heart Cross mechanic, as well as forcing you to match water or wood orbs in a blob of 6 or more. So this is going to be a little challenging because it's not that high damage. It's 81 times only, but you have to do so much to actually do it. You have to have water or wood orbs at least 6 or more on the board and 5 hard orbs. So you are going to make the cross, and you probably most likely a row, because row will boost your damage the most. But trying to do all those at the same time may result in a very orb-hungry team. She's also vulnerable to binds, so it's going to be a little awkward to use as a leader. It could be fun if you never had the chance to experience Mirror. This might be an enjoyable outcome, maybe, who knows, but it's a little awkward overall, and it's harder to recommend her when like Glavenus Hunter is just more well-rounded overall. And then finally we come to Barioth, I think, blue light female hunter, and she does have very favorable damage awakening. She has like the 7 combo and obviously the Dragon Killer and co-op boost, so she actually can deal very large amounts of damage, but she has a situational active skill and a actually reasonable leader skill. Her active skill gives you 30% of your maximum health healed immediately, as well as 1 turn of delay. So this is actually very meaningful, obviously, on health-sensitive teams, like, say, Yogg or Cammy, or anything that needs to be high health, or like Zeus Verse, like anything needs to be high health. You can heal the health and hopefully get yourself back into your zone, as well as providing a delay. So provided a spawn can be delayed, this is actually quite strong because you get the heal and the delay. And when it's delayed, you can set up your board, tidy it up, and heal up to whatever threshold you actually need to achieve. So this active skill does have meaning for quite a few number of teams, because we are seeing a bit more of like kind of the health-sensitive team compositions out there. Now, as a leader, they do provide 2.25 times health and 144 times attack when matching all 6 elements. So that's 5 colors and heal orbs in multiplayer mode. So unfortunately, like, Blue Hunter outscales her by far, like has higher damage output and actually has a recovery multiplier, as well as greater consistency. Because with rainbow teams, it can sometimes be actually challenging, even if you clear the whole board, to actually have 3 of each element possibly available, because you're oftentimes missing 1 element. So you're obviously gimping your damage. It still scales, but your damage is chunked down quite a bit. So it can be more challenging to hit your maximum multiplier, and also having a lot of boss spawns be more menacing. They change your orbs repeatedly. You're never going to have a full board at your disposal, whereas Blue Hunter can just match, hit those 7+ combos and deal big damage overall. So it's less powerful than Blue Hunter for sure, because of the lack of consistency of being a rainbow leader, but also having no recovery multiplier is kind of like a little kick in the nuts. Like, that's kind of unfortunate. Like, if she had the recovery multiplier, it could be doable potentially, and does give some value or merit to rainbow teams. But because you have a large health pool, great, you can survive big hits. But if you are unable to heal up all the way back to full health, what's the real point? It's not really going to help you out that much. You survive the big hit, but in longer content, you can't recover it back up. And that's why Blue Hunter does so well, because he actually can at least heal back up after these large strikes. So Barryoff, if they had the recovery multiplier, they'd be a lot stronger, and at least somewhat of a minor contender against Blue Hunter. But unfortunately about that, it's going to be harder to justify it. But again, it might be an enjoyable leader if you like this playstyle and you don't actually have any amazing Blue Hunter card subs, possibly. Maybe this could be an option overall. But in my opinion, it just feels like a lesser Blue Hunter. So should I buy more Hunters? Now, we don't know how long the Monster Hunter collab will take to return. So there is kind of this like idea of like limited time availability and kind of almost urgency, so to speak. But the thing is, it depends how readily available monster points are for yourself, and can you actually make use of the other evolutions? Like, do they provide value for your monster box? And if you're like myself and you have 2 of each type of hunter, do you really need to have a 3rd one? Like, are you really going to gain that much more value out of another hunter? Like, there are obviously lots of different sides to this coin, and some players are saying, well, I like to have multiple blue hunters to have different latents and inheritance setups to make it easier to swap in and out. Well, that's obviously quite luxurious, but some people like that, like Glavenus Hunter, different killer latent setups for different team compositions. Like, the idea is like it makes their life easier, but again, that's obviously very luxurious at the same time. Conversely, what if you're a player with, let's say, less resources currently available, and maybe multiple hunters might help you out? But the thing is, you also can reverse their evolutions. Like I used the example of the purple female hunter, Narga. She might have great value for you now, but you might outgrow her in the future. And when you do, you can switch to Glavenus Hunter. As well as you can almost even think, say the Monster Hunter collab takes, say, 8 months to return, or a year, let's say. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out there. But like, let's say it's 8 months. Will you have advanced enough to really have utilized another hunter? And I'm going to just make the presumption that on the 3rd inception of Monster Hunter, we are going to get another free hunter at the same time. So can you just wait for another hunter as well? So again, the decision is really up to you and how well you can make use of the situational hunters. We already get Blue Hunter for free, so we don't need the male hunters as much because none of them do anything that incredible by comparison. Female hunters are a little more varied, at least. They have more value in different situations, so some people might be picking up extra female hunters. But then again, you may be just better suited off with an Odin Dragon or a Ragnarok Dragon who costs 300,000 monster points. So, in conclusion, the Monster Hunter Collab is an exciting event because not only does it offer a powerful collab rare machine, it also has the free hunters given out, which is probably the big shining point for many players because now people are starting to dive into co-op multiplayer with their new blue hunters. So again, to reiterate, make a blue hunter first, just make it. Like, no real excuses at this point in time. So get those purple furs. So let me know what you've done with your hunters in the comments below, and what was your rationale or logic behind their evolution choices. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. Wish you all the best of luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.